On my son's wedding morning, our family driver pushed me into the back seat of his car and said, "Mrs. Hayes, hide under this blanket. There's something you need to see before Deshawn says, 'I do.'" I'm Hattie Lou Hayes. I'm 63 years old. I said, "Okay." Then I climbed under that blanket and discovered my future daughter-in-law had been lying about everything for 18 months straight. My name is Hattie Lou Hayes, and this is the story of how I stopped my son's wedding 3 hours before he walked down that aisle. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. I stood in my bedroom at 847 Peachtree Manor Drive, staring at the navy blue dress hanging on my closet door. Size 14. Ann Taylor. $287 after tax. I'd bought it 3 months ago specifically for this day, the day my only child, my baby boy Deshawn, would marry Natasha Quinn. The dress was elegant, appropriate for a mother of the groom. The kind of thing that said, "I'm proud, I'm composed, I'm ready to welcome a new daughter into this family." But standing there that morning, my hand pressed against my chest, I felt my heartbeat thudding too hard, too fast. Something wasn't right. I couldn't name it exactly, but it sat in my stomach like a stone, heavy, cold, unwelcome. Lord, I thought, closing my eyes. Walter, if you can hear me, tell me what to do. My husband had been gone 3 years, 2 months, and 11 days. Heart attack, sudden as summer lightning. 1 minute we were planning our 33rd anniversary trip to Savannah. The next minute, I was a widow at 60 years old, trying to figure out how to run Hayes Heritage Hotels without the man who'd built it with me from nothing. Walter would have known what to do about Natasha. He always knew. But Walter wasn't here, and I was standing in our bedroom, my bedroom now, holding a dress for a wedding I wasn't sure should happen. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. 6:48 a.m., unknown number. "Mrs. Hayes, this is Roosevelt Palmer. I need to see you before the ceremony. It's urgent. Don't go to the church yet. Come to my place first, 2156 Auburn Avenue, Unit 7. What I found. You need to see this yourself." I read it twice. Roosevelt Palmer, Rosie we called him, had been our family driver and property manager for 18 years. He'd driven Walter to his last business meeting. He'd driven me to Grady Memorial Hospital the night Walter died. He'd held my hand at the funeral when I couldn't stop shaking. Rosie didn't panic. Rosie didn't send cryptic messages at 6:48 on a Saturday morning unless something was very, very wrong. I texted back, "Give me 20 minutes." Rosie's apartment was in Sweet Auburn, the historic black neighborhood where Martin Luther King Jr. was born. Small, clean, filled with photographs of his late wife Martha and their 3 grown children. He answered the door in slacks and a pressed white shirt, already dressed for the wedding. "Mrs. Hayes." His voice was quiet, careful. "Come in. Sit down." "Rosie, what's going on? The ceremony starts at 11. "I know, ma'am. That's why I called." He gestured to his dining table. "I need you to look at something before your son walks down that aisle." On the table, a brown accordion folder, the kind lawyers use. Thick, heavy, full. I sat down slowly. "What is this?" Rosie sat across from me, hands folded. His face, weathered, kind, honest, looked 10 years older than it had last week. 3 weeks ago, he said, I was driving Deshawn and Natasha to meet their wedding planner at the Georgian Terrace Hotel. It was a Tuesday, around 2:30 in the afternoon. Natasha got a phone call. She asked me to turn up the radio because it was private. Okay, I turned up the radio, Mrs. Hayes, but I didn't turn it up all the way. He looked at me steadily. I heard her say, "Brett, I told you, after the wedding, we'll be fine. Just hold on a few more weeks." My stomach tightened. Brett? She told Deshawn it was her foster brother calling about money problems. Rosie opened the folder. But I've been a private investigator for 27 years before I retired. And when someone says foster brother, but their voice sounds like that, I pay attention. He pulled out the first document. A photograph, 8 by 10, color printed. Natasha Quinn, my son's fiancée, the woman I'd welcomed into my home, the woman who'd held my hand and cried with me about missing Walter, standing on the front porch of a modest yellow house. A man beside her. White man, late 30s, wearing a work shirt with Collins Electrical embroidered on the pocket. They were kissing. Not a friendly kiss. A real kiss. A we belong to each other kiss. When was this taken? My voice came out steady, but my hands weren't. June 3rd, 12 days ago. That's 847 Maple Street in Oakwood. He pulled out another photo. Same house. Natasha kneeling down, arms open. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, blonde curls, gap-toothed smile, running toward her mother. Her name is Amara Collins, Rosie said quietly. She's 6 years old, born October 12, 2017, at Northside Hospital. Birth weight, 4 pounds, 2 ounces. She was 6 weeks premature. I couldn't breathe. Rosie, I'm not done, Mrs. Hayes. He pulled out more documents. This is a marriage certificate. Natasha Marie Quinn married Brett Daniel Collins on April 8, 2019, Fulton County Courthouse. Judge Margaret Williamson presiding. 5 years ago. She'd been married for 5 years. Deshawn met her 18 months ago, I whispered. Yes, ma'am. At the Children's Healthcare Charity Gala, September 2022, she was there representing a PR firm. Yes, ma'am, but it wasn't a coincidence. Rosie pulled out printed pages, screenshots of social media, search histories, browsing data. 2 months before that gala, Natasha Quinn searched on Google, Hayes Heritage Hotel's net worth. Deshawn Hayes, lawyer, Atlanta. Walter Hayes obituary. She researched your family for 8 weeks before she accidentally spilled wine on Deshawn's jacket. The memory came flooding back. I'd been there that night, September 17, 2022. The ballroom at the St. Regis. Deshawn had been so lonely since Walter died, throwing himself into pro bono work, barely sleeping, barely living. Then this beautiful woman spilled Merlot on his Hugo Boss jacket, and suddenly he was laughing for the first time in a year. I'd been so grateful. Why? I asked. Why would she do this? Rosie's expression softened with something like pity. Money, Mrs. Hayes. She needs money. A lot of it. He spread out more documents. Medical bills from Northside Hospital. Pediatric intensive care unit charges. Respiratory therapy. Specialists. Total amount due, $143,287. Amara was born very sick. 6 weeks premature, underdeveloped lungs, needed a ventilator. The Collins family has insurance, but their maximum out-of-pocket was $80,000 for that first year. They couldn't pay it. So they borrowed money? From the wrong person. Rosie pulled out another document. A loan agreement. Raymond Tucker Financial Services, LLC. Mr. Tucker loaned Brett and Natasha Collins $85,000 on May 15, 2019. The terms were not good. I read the contract. Interest rate, 15% compounded monthly. Total repayment due by May 15, 2021, $147,000. They couldn't make the payments, I said. They said. No, ma'am. Amara kept having respiratory issues. More hospital bills. Brett's a good electrician, makes about $52,000 a year, but it wasn't enough. By 2022, they owed Raymond Tucker $170,000. And Tucker is a loan shark who runs a legitimate-looking financial services company as a front. He's never been convicted of anything, but... Rosie pulled out his phone, showed me a news article. 3 families in the past 4 years have accused Tucker of threatening their children when they couldn't pay. The police can't prove anything. Tucker's smart, but the threats are real. My hands were shaking now. She targeted my son. She researched our family. She created a whole fake identity. Not fake, exactly. Natasha Quinn is her real name. Maiden name Quinn. Grandmother's name Natasha. She just left out the married part. And the child part. And the desperate debt to a dangerous man part. Rosie pulled out his phone again, scrolled to a text message thread. I have a friend who works in digital forensics. He recovered deleted text messages from Natasha's cloud backup. It's legally gray, but he handed me the phone. Text thread, Natasha to Brett, December 3rd, 2022, 11:47 p.m. I found the perfect target. Deshawn Hayes, 35, lawyer, just lost his father a year ago. Still grieving. The Hayes family has hotels, real estate, investment portfolios. Estimated net worth, $15 to $18 million. December 4th, 2022, 7:23 a.m. I don't like this, Tasha. He seems like a good man. This is wrong. December 4th, 2022, 7:31 a.m. A good man whose mother is worth $18 million. That's what saves Amara. Tucker said we have until summer 2024. If we don't pay him by then. December 4th, 2022, 7:45 a.m. I know what he said. But baby, there has to be another way. December 4th, 2022, 8:02 a.m. There isn't. I've looked. We can't bankrupt out of this. He'll still come after us. We can't run. He'll find us. This is the only way. I marry into the Hayes family. I gain access to accounts, investments, property. 1 year of marriage, then a clean divorce. We walk away with enough to pay Tucker and disappear. Amara stays safe. I read it 3 times. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. There's more, Rosie said gently. From 3 weeks ago, March 27th, 2024, 10:15 p.m., Tucker called again. Oh, he's losing patience. Says if I don't pay him $170,000 by midnight on the wedding day, June 15th, he's taking Amara. He didn't say how. He just said collateral. Brett, I'm scared. March 27th, 2024, 10:22 p.m. We'll figure it out. The wedding's in 11 weeks. You'll be legally married. You'll have access. March 27th, 2024, 10:35 p.m. Hayes family uses joint accounts after marriage. I checked. Everything's in trusts, but spouses have signing authority after 6 months. I can transfer what we need within a year. Deshaun will never know until it's too late. Then I'll stage a divorce, claim incompatibility. He'll be hurt, but he'll be alive, and Amara will be safe. That's all that matters. I set the phone down carefully. My whole body felt numb. Mrs. Hayes, Rosie said quietly, your son is about to marry a woman who's been planning to rob him for 18 months. She's not who she says she is. She doesn't love him. This whole thing, the relationship, the engagement, the wedding, it's all a con. Does Deshaun know any of this? No, ma'am. If I'd told him, he wouldn't have believed me. He loves her. He thinks she saved him after Walter died. She did save him, I said bitterly. Saved him right into her trap. I stood up, pacing Rosie's small living room. Outside, Auburn Avenue was waking up. People heading to weekend jobs, church services, family brunches. Normal Saturday morning. Except nothing about this was normal. What do we do? I asked. The wedding's in 3.5 hours. 200 guests. The cathedral's already being set up. The flowers are being delivered. The caterers. We stop it, Rosie said firmly. But we do it right. We need Deshaun to see the truth with his own eyes. If we just tell him, he'll defend her. We need him to witness something he can't explain away. What do you mean? Rosie checked his watch. Right now, it's 7:47 a.m. Natasha told Deshaun she's getting ready at the Ritz-Carlton with her bridesmaids. That's where he thinks she is. She's not there? No, ma'am. 30 minutes ago, I drove past 847 Maple Street. Her car's in the driveway. She's at home with her real family. He pulled out his phone again, showed me a text message. At 6:30 this morning, I sent this text to Natasha from a burner phone. The message read, Time's up, Mrs. Collins. Wedding better happen today or I'm taking the girl. RT. RT, Raymond Tucker. It's not really from Tucker. I'm having a friend keep tabs on Tucker's location, and he's at his office downtown. But Natasha doesn't know that. She got that message and panicked. She's going to go home to see Brett and Amara one more time before the wedding, to make sure they're safe. How do you know? Because that's what any mother would do. Rosie looked at me steadily. And because at 8:15 she's going to text Deshaun asking him to pick her up from a friend's house. She'll give him the Maple Street address. She'll make up some story about a friend having an emergency. How do you know she'll do that? Because she did it twice before, in March and April. Same pattern. Texts Deshaun, asks for a ride from a friend's house, uses him as transportation between her two lives. He never questions it because he trusts her completely. My jaw clenched. So we let Deshaun pick her up? Let him see the house? Better. We make sure he sees everything. Rosie stood. I'm going to drive Deshaun to pick up Natasha. You're going to hide in the back seat under a blanket. Hide? In my own car? Yes, ma'am. Because when we get to 847 Maple Street, Deshaun's going to go to the front door like always. But you and I are going to watch the side door. The one Natasha uses when she comes and goes as Mrs. Collins. What will we see? Rosie's expression was grim. The truth, her real husband, her real daughter, her real life, everything Deshawn doesn't know. And once you witness it yourself, once you see it with your own eyes, then we make a plan to stop this wedding before he says I do. The plan was insane, hiding in the back of a car like some kind of spy movie. But as I drove home to change into something less formal, I kept seeing those text messages in my mind. Deshawn Hayes, 35, lawyer, just lost his father, still grieving. Estimated net worth, $15 to $18 million. My baby boy, reduced to a $sign. A target. A mark. I parked in my driveway. Our driveway. The one Walter and I bought in 1997 when Deshawn was 8 years old. The house was a 4-bedroom colonial with white columns and a wraparound porch. We'd paid $285,000 for it. Now it was worth $1.2 million. Inside, I could hear Deshawn and his best man Jamal Washington laughing about something in the living room. Normal, happy. The way a groom should sound on his wedding day. My heart broke. I slipped upstairs quietly, changed into comfortable pants and a simple blouse, grabbed my phone, texted Rosie. I'm ready. When? His response. 8:15. She just texted him. He's calling me now to come pick him up. Be outside in 5 minutes. I looked at myself in the mirror. Hattie Lou Hayes, 63 years old, 5'5", 160 pounds, natural gray hair I'd finally stopped dyeing last year. Widow, mother, grandmother-to-be, or so I'd thought. Walter's voice echoed in my memory. Baby, when something feels wrong, it usually is. Trust yourself. I grabbed my purse and headed downstairs. The car was already waiting at the curb when I stepped outside. Rosie was in the driver's seat. The back door was open. Quickly, Mrs. Hayes. I climbed into the back seat. It smelled like leather and the lavender air freshener Rosie always used. On the seat, a thick dark blanket. Lie down, Rosie said. Cover yourself completely. When Deshawn gets in, he can't know you're here. Rosie, this is crazy. Yes, ma'am, but it's the only way he'll believe us. I lay down on the leather seat, my 63-year-old body protesting every second of this undignified position. Rosie handed me the blanket. Heavy, dark, soft. Stay completely still. Don't make a sound, no matter what you hear. What if, Mrs. Hayes, Rosie's voice was gentle but firm, your son is about to marry a woman who's been lying to him every single day for 18 months. She's planning to steal from him. She's using his grief over Walter as a weapon. This is the only way to show him the truth before it's too late. I pulled the blanket over my head. The world went dark. 30 seconds later, I heard footsteps. The passenger door opened. Morning, Rosie. Deshawn's voice, bright and nervous. You ready for this? I'm getting married today. Yes, sir, Mr. Deshawn. It's a big day. The door closed. The car started moving. Deshawn laughed. Man, I can't believe it. Me, married. Tasha and I are going to build such a good life together. Under the blanket, my hands clenched into fists. Your father would be very proud, Rosie said carefully. I wish he was here. He'd probably have some joke about me finally settling down. Remember how he used to say, Deshawn's voice caught. Sorry, still gets me sometimes. That's natural, sir. Your father was a good man. The best. And Tasha, she's helped me so much. After Dad died, I was drowning. I quit the prosecutor's office, stopped sleeping, barely ate. Mom was so worried. But Tasha, He paused. She made me feel like I could breathe again, like life was worth living. I pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from crying. She sounds like a remarkable woman, Rosie said neutrally. She is. She really is. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. The car turned, kept moving. Through the blanket, I could see faint light changing, shadows of buildings, trees, traffic lights. Then Deshawn's phone rang. It's Tasha, he said. I heard him answer. Hey, babe, what's up? Natasha's voice came through the speaker, clear as crystal. Warm, sweet, perfect. Good morning, handsome. How are you feeling? Nervous, Deshawn admitted. Good nervous, like this is really happening. It is. After today, everything changes. Something in her voice made my skin crawl. Everything changes. She meant it literally. After today, she'd have access to Hayes family accounts, Hayes properties, Hayes investments. I can't wait to start our life together, Deshawn said. You, me, the whole future. A pause, just a beat too long. Yeah, finally. Her voice sounded off, strained. Finally, we'll have everything we need. Under the blanket, I went cold. Where are you right now? Deshawn asked. Still at the Ritz with the girls? Another pause. Actually, baby, that's why I'm calling. My friend Sarah, you remember Sarah? The one I've never met? Yeah, she's really private. Anyway, she just called. Her cat got out and she's freaking out. She lives alone and she's terrified it'll get hit by a car. I told her you could give me a ride to help her look. My jaw clenched. The lie came so easily. Of course, Deshawn said. What's the address? I'll text it to you. Thank you, baby. I knew you'd understand. Love you. Love you too. See you soon. He hung up. 10 seconds later. Rosie, change of plans. Tasha needs a ride from her friend's house. I'm texting you the address. Of course, sir. In the darkness under the blanket, I waited. The car changed direction, started moving toward Oakwood, toward 847 Maple Street, toward the truth. The car slowed. Through the blanket, I sensed we were on a residential street. The sounds changed. No more highway traffic. Just birds. Quiet. This neighborhood, Deshawn sounded confused. Tasha said her friends usually live in Buckhead or Midtown. Maybe her friend fell on hard times, sir, Rosie said carefully. Yeah, maybe. The car stopped. The engine cut off. 847 Maple Street, Rosie said. That yellow house there. Okay, I'll be right back. She said her friend's cat is orange, so we might be a few minutes. The door opened, closed. Footsteps on pavement, moving away. Mrs. Hayes, Rosie whispered. Come out now, quickly, quietly. I pushed the blanket off. My dress was wrinkled, my hair was a mess, but I didn't care. Rosie opened the back door, helped me out. We were on a tree-lined street in Oakwood. Working-class neighborhood. Small houses, well-maintained lawns. A child's bike lying on its side near one driveway. American flags on porches. Normal. Safe. And there, at 847 Maple Street, a modest yellow house. One story, maybe 1,200 square feet. Detached garage, small front porch. At the end of the driveway, a mailbox. Black letters on white. The Collins family. Deshawn stood at the front door, knocking. I watched from behind Rosie's car, partially hidden by a tree. The door opened. Natasha appeared. Except she didn't look like Natasha. She looked like someone else. Casual, comfortable, jeans and a loose sweater, hair in a messy ponytail, no makeup. This wasn't my son's polished, perfect fiancée. This was Tasha Collins, wife, mother, liar. Hey! Her voice carried across the lawn. Thanks for coming. Sarah's out back looking. Come on in for a second. I just need to grab my purse. Deshawn stepped inside. The door closed. Mrs. Hayes, Rosie whispered, pointing. Watch that door. Not the front. The side. I turned my attention to a smaller door on the side of the house. Kitchen entrance, maybe. Or mudroom. We waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then, at exactly 8:47 a.m., that side door opened. Natasha stepped out through the side door, moving quickly, efficiently. She was still in her casual clothes, jeans, sweater, ponytail. No pretense, no performance. Behind her, a little girl burst through the doorway. Blonde curls, gap-toothed smile, pink sneakers with light-up soles. Mommy! The girl threw her arms around Natasha's legs. Do you really have to go? My breath stopped. Natasha knelt down, cupping the child's face with both hands. Just for today, sweetheart. Just for a few hours. Then everything will be different. I promise. But I don't want you to leave. The girl's voice was high, worried. What if the bad man comes? Amara, baby, he won't come. Daddy's here. You're safe. Amara, the 6-year-old daughter, the reason for all of this. A man appeared in the doorway. Late 30s, wearing work pants and a t-shirt. Unshaven, tired eyes. Brett Collins. We need to talk about Tucker, Brett said quietly. His voice was tense. He called again this morning. If we don't pay him by midnight tonight... Not now, Natasha's voice went sharp. Deshawn's inside, at the front door, waiting. Brett's face crumpled with guilt. You're really doing this. Marrying him. Do I have a choice? Natasha stood up, still holding Amara's hand. Tucker said midnight tonight, Brett. Midnight, or he takes her. He's a good man, Tasha. Deshawn. He doesn't deserve this. His family's money will pay Tucker. That's what matters. She stepped closer to Brett, lowering her voice, but not low enough. Rosie and I could still hear. 1 year of marriage, clean divorce, his mother's worth $18 million. We need $200,000 to pay Tucker and disappear. That's nothing to them. It's everything to us. Brett shook his head. This is wrong. This is survival. Natasha pulled him close, kissed him. Not a friendly kiss. A real kiss. Deep, desperate. The kiss of two people who'd been married for 5 years. You just have to trust me. After today, we'll have time. Access, resources, and Amara will be safe. Amara tugged on Brett's shirt. Daddy, can we have pancakes after Mommy leaves? Brett's voice broke. Sure, baby. Go inside. I'll be right there. As Amara skipped back into the house, humming a children's song, I felt something shatter inside my chest. That innocent little girl had no idea what her mother was about to do, had no idea that her safety was about to cost my son everything. Natasha checked her watch. I need to go. Deshawn's waiting. What's the story this time? Sarah's cat got out. We need to search the neighborhood. Brett laughed bitterly. You've used that one twice. He never questions me. He trusts me completely. She turned toward the side door, then paused. Brett, after today we'll be okay. I promise. Will we? Or will we just be criminals? We're already criminals. We just haven't been caught yet. She slipped back through the side door. 30 seconds later, the front door opened. Natasha emerged with Deshawn at her side, holding his arm, smiling up at him. Sorry for the delay, baby. Sarah's cat is back. Crisis averted. Deshawn wrapped his arm around her waist. No problem. You want to take my car to the church? Actually, let's take mine. It's already packed with my overnight bag and shoes. I'll drive us together. She led him toward a silver Toyota Camry parked in the driveway. Just you and me before the chaos begins. Deshawn's face softened. That's really sweet. He glanced back toward the street, toward Rosie's car. I'll text Rosie to meet us there. Perfect. Within 2 minutes, they were driving away. My son, completely unaware. His fiancée, completely in control. I stepped out from behind the tree, my legs shaking but my mind clear. Rosie appeared beside me. You saw? Everything. What do you want to do, Mrs. Hayes? I looked in that yellow house on Maple Street. At the Collins family mailbox. At the side door where Natasha had kissed her real husband and promised her 6-year-old daughter that everything would be different after today. Different, yes, because she was planning to rob my son blind. I want to talk to Brett Collins, I said quietly. Right now, before this goes any further. Rosie nodded. I'll wait in the I walked up the driveway, each step deliberate, measured, and knocked on the front door. The knock echoed louder than I expected. Inside I heard footsteps. The door opened. Brett Collins stood there, eyes red, shoulders slumped. He looked at me for a long moment. Then his face went pale. Oh God, he whispered. You're Deshawn's mother. I am. My voice was steady, but my heart was hammering. My name is Hattie Lou Hayes, and you and I need to talk about your wife. Brett Collins stared at me like I was a ghost. His hand gripped the doorframe, knuckles white. Mrs. Hayes, how did you... May I come in? My voice was calm. We don't have much time. He stepped back. The house was small but clean. Child's drawings on the refrigerator. A stuffed elephant on the couch. Family photos on the walls. Natasha, Brett, and Amara at the beach, at birthdays, at Christmas. A real family. Everything my son thought he was getting. Amara, Brett called. Stay in your room, okay? Daddy needs to talk. Okay, Daddy. Can I watch cartoons? Yeah, baby. He turned to me, eyes red-rimmed and exhausted. You saw, he said. Everything. The side door. You and Natasha. Your daughter. I sat down uninvited. My son is at the cathedral right now. In 3 hours he marries your wife. So yes, Mr. Collins. I saw. Now tell me the rest. Brett collapsed into a chair, head in hands. I love her, he finally said. I know that doesn't make this okay. But I love my wife, Mrs. Hayes. And I'm drowning trying to keep them both alive. 5 years ago, Natasha and I got married. April 8th, 2019. He showed me a photo on his phone. Young couple, courthouse steps, beaming. I'm an electrician, make about $52,000 a year. She worked in PR, made $45,000. We were happy. What happened? Amara came early, 6 weeks early, October 12th, 2017. 4 pounds, 2 ounces. Her lungs weren't developed. NICU for 8 weeks. He pulled out a folder. Medical bills. Northside Hospital, NICU, $67,450. Respiratory therapy, $23,800. Specialists, $8,900. Ventilator, $12,400. Medications, $9,337. Follow-up, $21,400. Total, $143,287. Our insurance covered most, but out-of-pocket was $75,000. We'd already maxed it. Everything after came to $143,287. Banks wouldn't help? 3 said no. Student loans, credit cards, low credit score. Then a coworker mentioned Raymond Tucker. He showed me the loan agreement. Raymond Tucker Financial Services, LLC. Principal, $85,000. Interest, 15% compounded monthly. Term, 24 months. Total, due $147,322 by May 14th, 2021. Collateral, all assets of value, including future earnings. We were desperate. We signed. What happened when you couldn't pay? Brett's face went pale. We paid for 8 months. Then Amara got pneumonia. Another $8,400. We missed February 2020. And Tucker? Came to our house, March 3rd, 9 p.m., asked to see Amara, picked her up, told her she was precious, then looked at us and said, "Collateral means collateral. Whatever's most valuable." My blood froze. He didn't threaten directly, but we knew. 3 other Atlanta families had similar experiences. One moved to Texas overnight. Another paid $200,000 for a $60,000 loan. A third, their daughter disappeared for 6 hours. Showed up at a fire station. They paid everything the next day. So Natasha created the plan. By 2022, we owed $170,000. Tucker said summer 2024 was final deadline. Pay $200,000 or he'd collect collateral. Brett pulled out his phone, showed me Natasha's texts to him. December 3rd, 2022. Found the perfect target. Deshaun Hayes, 35, lawyer, lost his father. Hayes family worth $15 to $18 million. December 4th, 2022. I marry in. Access accounts. 1 year, then divorce. We pay Tucker. Disappear. Amara stays safe. March 27th, 2024. Tucker called. If I don't pay $170,000 by midnight June 15th, he's taking Amara. Brett, I'm scared. She researched your family for months, Brett Sassy said. Figured out what Deshaun cared about. The wine spill wasn't accidental. Even the cologne. She found an article saying your husband wore Acqua di Parma. She bought it. Made Deshaun feel safe around her. My hands clenched. She'd weaponized Walter's memory. Everything was calculated, Brett continued. Every date, every tear, every story about her orphan childhood. She made herself seem vulnerable, damaged, someone Deshaun could save. Does she love him at all? Long silence. She says he's kind, that in another life she could have loved him, but then she remembers Amara, and he's just money to her. Brett showed me their plan. September 2022, meet Deshaun, February 2023. Move in together, August 2023. Engagement, June 2024. Wedding, December 2024. Transfer $250,000. Pay Tucker $200,000. Keep $50,000. March 2025. Divorce. She'd do it slowly, Brett said. $5,000 here, $10,000 there. Business investments. By the time he noticed, she'd be gone. I pulled out my phone, dialed a number I hadn't called in 15 years. Hattie Lou Hayes. The voice was smooth, professional. This is unexpected. Raymond Tucker. We need to talk. Brett's face went white. You know him? The Collins family debt. $170,000. I want it cleared. That's confidential. I know what you do, Ray. I know why you do it. And I know what happened in 1999. Silence. What do you want? The debt forgiven. Today. That's $170,000. I'm calling in Walter's mercy. Brett, you should hear this. I put the phone on speaker. In 1999, Raymond Tucker worked at our first hotel, head of security. He stole $50,000 over 6 months. Walter caught him, had evidence for 5 to 10 years in prison. Mrs. Hayes, but Walter didn't turn you in. He gave you a choice, prison or leave Atlanta and start clean. Walter believed in second chances. I took it, left for 2 years, came back, started my financial services, legitimately at first. But you perverted his mercy, Ray. You exploit desperate families, threaten children, built a business on Walter's gift and turned it into something he'd be ashamed of. Silence. Walter's gone, but I'm not. Forgive this debt, or I'll spend every dollar of my $18 million destroying your business by Monday. Long pause. Your husband showed me mercy. I turned it into something ugly. Yes. The Collins debt, all $170,000. Forgiven. Thank you. But Mrs. Hayes, after today we're even. The debt I owed Walter is paid. Agreed. And Ray, stop threatening children, or next time I call the FBI. He hung up. Brett was shaking. You just forgave $170,000? Tucker forgave it, but that doesn't change what your wife is about to do to my son. But if the debt's cleared, she doesn't know. She's at the cathedral planning to marry Deshawn based on a lie. And even if we told her, would she stop? She's invested 18 months. She's probably convinced herself it's justified. What are you going to do? Stop the wedding, publicly, and you're going to help me. The ceremony starts at 11 a.m. You need to be at Christ the King Cathedral at 10:55. Bring Amara. Bring every piece of evidence, marriage certificate, photos, bank statements, medical bills, text messages. In front of everyone? 200 guests. Yes. This will destroy her. She was planning to destroy my son. I stood. Mr. Collins, I understand she's desperate, but she chose to save her daughter by destroying mine. That's not acceptable. What happens to Tasha? That's between her, Deshawn, and the law. But fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, those are crimes. She could go to prison. Yes, I handed him a card. This is my driver, Rosie. Text him when you leave. He'll coordinate security for Amara. Park in the back lot. Wait until you see me stand, then walk in. Mrs. Hayes, thank you for clearing the debt, for protecting Amara. I'm doing this for 2 innocent people, my son and your daughter. 10:34 a.m. Christ the King Cathedral. The cathedral was magnificent. Gothic revival, soaring ceilings, stained glass casting jeweled light. Walter and I were married here 33 years ago. Now I was about to use it to expose the biggest lie ever told to my son. Guests arrived. Friends, family, business associates. Everyone smiling, expecting beauty. Hattie Lou! Margaret Washington hurried over. You look stunning. Natasha is such a lovely girl. Every word was a knife. We'll see how the day unfolds. I kept walking, greeting people, smiling, acting normal. Inside, I was counting minutes. Deshawn stood before a mirror, adjusting his bow tie. Jamal sat nearby. Mama! His face lit up. How do I look? Like your father on our wedding day. I wish he was here. I know, baby. Deshawn turned, suddenly nervous. Mama, do you think I'm making the right choice? My heart shattered, but I smiled. Deshawn, I need you to know something. No matter what happens today, no matter what, I love you. Everything I do is to protect you. He looked confused. Of course. But what could happen? Everything's perfect. Perfect. The word hung like poison. I'll be in my seat, front row, where I can see everything. Thanks, Mama, for accepting Tasha. It means the world. I left before he could see my tears. I sat, folder in my purse. Around me, the cathedral filled. Text from Rosie. Brett in position, Amara with him, security watching. Another text. Tucker at his office, not going anywhere near Oakwood. JM. Thank you, Walter, for building relationships on integrity. Organ music swelled. Everyone stood. Bridesmaids processed down the aisle. Deshawn appeared at the altar with Jamal. Reverend Thompson stood between them. Deshawn's face showed everything: joy, tears, anticipation. I'm sorry, baby. Better heartbreak now than devastation later. The bridal march began. Doors opened wide. Natasha walked down the aisle in a white gown. Strapless, elegant, flowing train. Veil cascading. Bouquet of white roses. She looked like an angel. I knew better. I'd seen her kiss her real husband 2 hours ago. She passed my row. Our eyes met. She smiled. Warm, genuine, liar. She reached the front, turned to Deshawn. He stepped forward, hand extended. You're beautiful, he whispered. You're everything, she whispered back. They joined hands. Reverend Thompson raised his arms. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join Deshawn Marcus Hayes and Natasha Marie Quinn in holy matrimony. Natasha Marie Collins, I corrected silently. Marriage is a sacred covenant, built on trust, honesty, and love. Trust, honesty, love. 3 things she'd never given him. From 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love never fails. But lies fail, cons fail, fraud fails. Now we come to the most sacred part. But first, tradition requires I ask, if any person knows any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. Traditional silence. 3 seconds. 4, 5. Natasha's shoulders relaxed, almost safe. I stood up, every head turned. I looked at my son, at his confused, horrified face, at the woman whose expression went from relieved to terrified, and I said, in a voice that carried to every corner, I object. The cathedral erupted. Gasps rippled through the congregation like a wave. 200 guests turning in their seats. Shocked whispers becoming a roar. Did she just... The mother objected. Oh, my lord! I've never seen... Deshawn spun around, his face a mixture of confusion and horror. Mama, what are you doing? Jamal's mouth dropped open. Mrs. Hayes? Natasha's composure cracked instantly. Her bouquet trembled in her hands. Mrs. Hayes, this isn't appropriate. This is my wedding day. Reverend Thompson stood frozen, completely unprepared. In his 30 years of performing ceremonies, this had never happened. Mrs. Hayes, this is most unusual. If you have concerns, perhaps we should discuss this privately. No! My voice rang clear across the marble floors. This needs to be said here, now, in front of everyone. I stepped into the center aisle. My heels clicked with each deliberate step toward the altar. Around me, guests stood to see better. Phones came out. I could see the recording lights already glowing red. Good. Let them record. Let the truth be documented. This wedding cannot proceed, I said, my voice steady. I'm sorry to everyone gathered here today, but it cannot. Deshawn stepped toward me, his face crumbling. Mama, what are you saying? Have you lost your mind? This is my wedding day. I stopped at the altar steps, looking up at my son. Those eyes, Walter's eyes, staring at me with betrayal and desperate confusion. No, sweetheart. I finally found it. I turned to Natasha. She stood frozen, the white dress suddenly looking less like bridal elegance and more like a costume, a disguise. Tell them, I said quietly. Tell everyone here about Brett Daniel Collins. The cathedral went silent, deathly silent. Deshawn looked between us. Who? Who's Brett? Natasha's voice came out shrill, desperate. I don't know what she's talking about. Deshawn, your mother is lying. She's trying to sabotage us because she never wanted you to move on after your father. Tell them about Amara. Natasha went white as her dress. Mama, what are you talking about? Deshawn's voice cracked. Who's Brett? Who's Amara? I kept my eyes locked on Natasha. Brett Collins is her husband, her legal husband. They've been married for 5 years. Amara Collins is their 6-year-old daughter. The cathedral exploded. Louder gasps, shocked exclamations, chairs scraping as people stood. What? She's married? A daughter? Oh my God! Deshawn staggered backward like I'd physically struck him. What? What are you talking about? We've been together for 18 months. She's been lying to you, I said gently. About everything. From the very beginning. Natasha's voice turned high and panicked. That's not true. She's completely lying. Deshawn, don't listen to her. Your mother never wanted us together. Then explain this. I pulled the accordion folder from my purse, climbed the 3 steps to the altar. Deshawn reached for me instinctively, steadying me. I opened the folder, pulled out the first document. This is a marriage certificate. Natasha Marie Quinn married Brett Daniel Collins on April 8, 2019, Fulton County Courthouse. Judge Margaret Williamson presiding. Signed, sealed, legal. I held it up. Deshawn took it with shaking hands, read it again. No, he whispered. No, this can't be real. Mama, where did you get this? This has to be fake. It's not fake, baby. I pulled out photographs. 8x10 color prints. This is 847 Maple Street in Oakwood. This morning, 9 o'clock. The first photo, Natasha and Brett on the front porch. Kissing. Not a friendly kiss. A married kiss. The second photo, Natasha kneeling, arms open. Amara running toward her. The third photo, the 3 of them together. A family. Deshawn's hands shook so badly he nearly dropped them. When were these taken? This morning, 3 hours ago. That's impossible. She was at the Ritz-Carlton, getting ready with her bridesmaids. She was at home with her husband and daughter. Jamal stepped forward, took the photos from Deshawn's trembling hands. Looked at them. His face went hard. Deshawn, man, these are real. Time-stamped. GPS tagged. This morning. Walter's voice, my business partner, not my husband, stood up from the 3rd row. Margot, what's going on? I addressed the congregation, my voice carrying. The woman standing at this altar is Natasha Marie Collins. She has been married to Brett Daniel Collins for 5 years. They have a 6-year-old daughter named Amara. For the past 18 months, she has been conducting a relationship with my son under false pretenses. The whispers became chaos. Natasha's voice rose to a scream. This is insane! You're ruining my wedding! Our wedding! Deshawn, tell her... Why? Deshawn's voice cut through everything. Quiet. Broken. Why would you do this? Natasha opened her mouth, closed it. Tears streamed down her face, ruining her makeup. Answer him, I said. I couldn't. Then let me. I pulled out more documents, bank statements, loan agreements, medical bills. You and Brett Collins owe a man named Raymond Tucker $170,000. Medical debt from your daughter's premature birth. You couldn't pay. Tucker threatened to take Amara if you didn't pay him by today. Midnight tonight. So you researched wealthy Atlanta families. You found the Hayes family. You found my son, grieving, vulnerable, desperate for connection after losing his father. And you targeted him. Deshawn's face went from white to gray. Targeted? I pulled out printed text messages. December 3rd, 2022. You wrote to Brett. Found the perfect target. Deshawn Hayes. 35 lawyer. Just lost his father. Hayes family worth 15 to 18 million. I handed him his phone. Let him read Natasha's own words. I marry in. Access accounts. 1 year, then divorce. We pay Tucker. Disappear. Amara stays safe. Deshawn read. His lips moved silently. His whole body started shaking. The wine you spilled on my jacket, he whispered. At the charity gala. That wasn't an accident. Natasha said nothing. The cologne you said you liked, the same one my father wore. You researched that. Silence. Everything. Every date. Every conversation. Every time you held me when I cried about Dad. Every time you said you loved me. His voice broke completely. It was all a con. Deshawn, please. Did you ever love me? The shout echoed off the cathedral ceiling. Even once? Even for a second? Or was I just a bank account to you? The silence stretched. 5 seconds. 10. 15. That silence was the cruelest answer of all. A voice from the back of the cathedral cut through the tension. Actually, she doesn't owe me anything anymore. Every head turned. A man walked down the center aisle. Late 40s, well-dressed in a dark suit, confident stride, commanding presence. Raymond Tucker. Brett Collins appeared in the doorway behind him, holding Amara's hand. The little girl wore a pink dress, confused by all the adults and chaos. Daddy, why is everyone staring? Amara's voice carried in the silence. "It's okay, sweetheart," Brett said quietly. "Just stay with Daddy." They walked down the aisle together, Brett carrying a folder thick with documents, Amara looking around with wide, innocent eyes at the beautiful cathedral. Natasha made a sound like a wounded animal. "Brett, what are you doing? Tucker, Amara, you can't." Tucker stopped at the front, turned to address the congregation. His voice was calm, professional. "My name is Raymond Tucker. I run Tucker Financial Services. The Collins family owed me money, a significant amount, $170,000 to be exact." Gasps from the guests. "But approximately 2 hours ago, Mrs. Hattie Lou Hayes called me. We had a conversation about a debt I owed her late husband, a debt of mercy I'd never properly repaid." He turned to me, something like respect in his eyes. 25 years ago, I worked security at the First Hayes Heritage Hotel. I made bad choices. Stole $50,000 over 6 months. Walter Hayes caught me. Had enough evidence to send me to prison for 5 to 10 years. The congregation was silent, hanging on every word. But Mr. Hayes didn't prosecute. He gave me a choice: prison or leave Atlanta and start over clean. He believed in second chances. I took his mercy, and I'm ashamed to say I spent 25 years dishonoring it. Tucker's voice dropped. "I built a business that operated in legal gray areas. I made loans to desperate people. And when they couldn't pay, I made threats, ugly threats, including threats against children." More gasps, horrified whispers. The Collins family was one of those families. Their daughter Amara was born sick. They couldn't pay medical bills. I loaned them money at predatory rates, and when they couldn't pay, I threatened to take their daughter. Brett pulled Amara closer, his hand protective on her shoulder. "But this morning, Mrs. Hayes reminded me what her husband's mercy should have taught me. What real honor looks like, what real redemption requires." He turned to Brett and Natasha. "The Collins family debt, all $170,000, is forgiven, completely. You owe me nothing." Natasha looked up, mascara streaming down her face. "What?" "You're free. Your daughter is safe. The debt is cleared." Brett's legs nearly gave out. "You mean—" "I mean everything Mrs. Hayes said is true. Your wife built this entire scheme on desperation, but that desperation is now gone. She's been free since 9:30 this morning. She just didn't know it." Tucker looked at Natasha directly. "Which means, Mrs. Collins, that you're standing at this altar about to marry a man you don't love, to steal money you no longer need, to save a child who's already been saved." The tragic irony hung in the air. Natasha's voice came out broken. "You mean I did all this for nothing?" "You did all this because you chose deception over asking for help. You chose to break a good man's heart instead of trusting in mercy." Tucker turned to me one final time. "Mrs. Hayes, your husband's mercy saved me once. I dishonored it for 25 years. Today, I'm trying to honor it properly. The debt is paid, in every sense." He walked back up the aisle and out of the cathedral, leaving chaos in his wake. Deshawn stood at the altar, still in his tuxedo, staring at Natasha like he'd never seen her before. "You didn't need to do this," he said quietly. "The debt was cleared before you even got here, before you put on that dress, before you walked down this aisle, and you were still going to go through with it. Deshawn, were you ever going to tell me?" His voice was soft, but it cut like glass. "About Brett? About Amara? If Tucker had forgiven the debt last month, would you have called off the wedding? Or would you have kept going, kept lying, kept pretending to love me?" Natasha opened her mouth, closed it. No answer came. Amara's voice broke the silence. "Mommy, why are you wearing a princess dress? Are you getting married?" Every person in that cathedral felt their heart break. Natasha looked at her daughter, then at Brett, then at Deshawn, then at the 200 witnesses who'd just learned the truth. She collapsed to her knees. The white dress pooled around her. The bouquet fell, white roses scattering across the marble steps. Sobs racked her body. Not from remorse, from being caught. From 18 months of careful planning destroyed in 15 minutes. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I'm so sorry. I didn't have a choice. I had to save my daughter. I had to—" "You had choices." My voice cut through her breakdown. "You chose lies over honesty, theft over asking for help. You chose to destroy my son rather than trust that people might show you mercy." 2 police officers appeared at the cathedral entrance. I'd asked Rosie to call them 30 minutes ago, once I knew everything was in place. The female officer approached calmly but firmly. "Natasha Marie Collins?" Natasha looked up, mascara-streaked face full of terror. "You're under arrest for marriage fraud, bigamy, and conspiracy to commit identity theft. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." "No, please!" The officer helped her stand, gently but firmly guiding her hands behind her back. The metallic click of handcuffs echoed through the silent cathedral. Amara's frightened voice. "Mommy, where are they taking Mommy?" Brett lifted her immediately, turning her face away. "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy has to go talk to some people for a while. You're going to stay with Daddy." "But I want Mommy." "I know, baby. I know." The officers led Natasha down the center aisle, the white wedding dress dragged behind her, train catching on the carpet. She looked back once, at Deshawn, at Brett, at Amara. Deshawn turned his head away. "Don't." That single word carried more finality than anything else said in that cathedral. The doors closed behind Natasha with a heavy thud. For a moment, nobody moved. 200 people frozen in shock. Then Deshawn's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the altar steps, head in his hands. His shoulders shook. I sat beside him, wrapped my arms around my baby boy, and let him cry. Jamal stood guard, keeping people back. Give him space. Give him time. Walter, my business partner, approached carefully. "Margot, what do you need?" "Clear the cathedral. Send everyone home. The reception is canceled. And call Deshawn's therapist, Dr. Patricia Williams. Tell her it's an emergency session needed. I'll take care of everything." Brett approached slowly, Amara still in his arms. "Mrs. Hayes, I don't know how to thank you. For clearing the debt. For protecting Amara. Take your daughter home, Mr. Collins. Hold her tight. And be the father she needs when her mother faces consequences for her choices." "I will. I promise." He paused. "For what it's worth, your son is a good man. The best man I've ever heard Tasha talk about. He deserved so much better than what we did to him." "Yes, he did." Brett carried Amara toward the exit. As they passed, the little girl looked at Deshawn with innocent curiosity. "Daddy, why is that man crying?" "Because sometimes grown-ups get very sad, baby." "Can we make him feel better?" "Not today, sweetheart, but maybe someday." They left. Damn day. The cathedral slowly emptied. Guests filing out in stunned silence. Whispered conversations. Shocked phone calls already being made. By noon, the story would be all over Atlanta. By evening, it would be national news. But right now, in this moment, it was just me and my son, sitting on the steps where he was supposed to have been married, in the cathedral where his father and I took our vows 33 years ago. "Mama," Deshawn finally said, his voice hoarse. "How long have you known?" "Since this morning." "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why wait until I was at the altar?" I cupped his face, looking into eyes that were Walter's eyes, seeing pain that was breaking my heart. "Because you wouldn't have believed me, baby. If I'd told you yesterday, you would have defended her. You would have thought I was being paranoid, overprotective. You needed to see the truth with your own eyes." "You're right," he laughed bitterly. "I would have chosen her over you. God, I'm such a fool." "You're not a fool. You wanted to believe in love. After losing your father, you wanted something beautiful and real. That's not weakness. That's courage. It feels like weakness. Your father taught me something." I took his hand. He said, "Protect the ones you love, even when it hurts them, because losing them hurts more. You're hurt now, but you're not lost. You're not destroyed. You're here, and you're safe, and you're going to heal." Deshawn leaned his head on my shoulder, and for the first time since Walter died, my son let himself be vulnerable, let himself be held, let himself be a child who needed his mother. "I loved her, Mama. I really loved her." "I know, baby. I know." "Was any of it real?" "I don't know. Maybe she doesn't even know anymore. But what I know is this. You're going to survive this. You're going to heal. And you're going to be stronger and wiser for it." We sat there as afternoon light filtered through stained glass windows, casting colored patterns across the marble floor. The cathedral where weddings happened, where baptisms occurred, where funerals were held. Today it held something else, the death of a lie and the birth of hard-earned truth. September 18th, 2024, I stood at the window of my office on the 20th floor, looking out over downtown Atlanta. 3 months had passed since the wedding that wasn't. The door opened. Deshaun walked in, carrying project folders. He looked different, not healed completely, but healthier, lighter. The haunted look in his eyes had softened. "Mama finished the Miller development proposal. Want to review it?" "How are you doing, baby?" "Really?" He sat down, answering honestly. "Some days are harder than others, but I'm okay. Dr. Williams says I'm making good progress. Therapy twice a week. I'm learning to trust my instincts again, to set boundaries, to not rush into anything." Pride swelled in my chest. That's wise. "I'm focusing on family, on work, on myself." He gestured to the folders. "Joining the family business was the right choice. Working alongside you, learning what you and Dad built. It feels right. Your father would be so proud." Deshaun smiled slightly. "I think about him a lot, about what he would have done, what he would have said." "What do you think he'd say?" "That I survived something hard, that I learned from it, that I'm stronger now." He paused. "I heard from the prosecutor last week. Natasha's sentencing came through. And 5 years. Marriage fraud, bigamy, identity theft. She'll serve minimum 3 with good behavior." "How do you feel about that?" "Honestly, I don't hate her. I just feel sorry for her. She destroyed everything and got nothing. Tucker forgave the debt. She was free. And she still chose to go through with it. That's tragedy, not evil." "That's a very mature perspective." "What about Brett and Amara?" he asked. "Brett sent me a note last month. He and Amara are doing well. He got full custody. Natasha will have supervised visitation when she's released. He's taking courses to become a licensed electrician instructor. Better hours, more time with Amara." "That's good. That little girl deserves stability." "She does." I paused. "Brett mentioned Amara still asks about the nice lady at the church who helped Daddy. She means me." Deshaun's expression softened. "You saved us all that day, Mama. Me, Brett, Amara. Even Tucker found some kind of redemption. You did what Dad would have done." "I did what any mother would do. I protected my child." He stood, hugged me. "Thank you. For trusting your instincts. For being brave enough to stop me from making the biggest mistake of my life." After he left, I sat alone in my office, looking at the photograph of Walter, me, and young Deshaun that I kept on my desk. "We did it, Walter," I whispered. "Our boy is going to be okay. They say a mother's instinct is the greatest gift. I wish I'd trusted mine sooner, noticed the signs earlier, asked harder questions. But in the end, I did what Walter always taught me. I protected my family. Deshaun is healing, slowly, carefully, but genuinely. He's learned to recognize warning signs, to trust his gut, to ask questions before giving his heart away. The business is thriving. We just opened our 5th hotel. The Miller development will be our 6th. Rosie is officially family now. Deshaun calls him Uncle Rosie. He deserves that title. He earned it the day he made me hide in the back of his car. Brett sends photos of Amara occasionally. She's thriving in 1st grade. Loves drawing. Wants to be a veterinarian. The innocence in her smile breaks my heart and heals it at the same time. And Natasha, she's serving her time at Lee Arundel State Prison. Deshaun hasn't visited, hasn't written. Dr. Williams says that's healthy. He's setting boundaries, protecting himself. I don't wish her ill, but I don't regret what I did. Justice isn't revenge. Justice is protecting others from harm. Natasha Quinn thought she could build a future on lies. She believed if she just reached that altar, just said I do, everything would work out. But truth doesn't need permission to surface. It only needs someone brave enough to open the door. I stood at my office window, watching the sun set over Atlanta, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the distance, I could see the cathedral, Christ the King, where so much of our family's history had unfolded. Walter's voice echoed in my memory. "Margot, when something feels wrong, trust yourself. Your instincts are there for a reason." I'd trusted myself. I'd trusted Rosie. I'd called in Walter's mercy. and I'd saved my son from a beautiful lie. 3 months later, the Hayes family was healing, stronger, wiser, together. And that was worth every moment of standing up in that cathedral and saying 2 words that changed everything. I object. I'm Hattie Lou Hayes. I'm 63 years old. And I learned that at my age, the greatest power isn't money or status. It's knowing when to trust your instincts and act on them, no matter the cost. Sometimes protecting the ones you love means making them uncomfortable. Sometimes it means standing up when everyone expects you to sit down. Sometimes it means breaking your child's heart today to save their whole life tomorrow. Truth doesn't always arrive on time, but it always arrives. And one painful moment of truth is always better than a lifetime of beautiful lies. Trust your instincts, protect those you love, and never be afraid to stand up and speak truth, even when it shatters everything. Because in the end, real love isn't about comfort. It's about courage.